The Doctor Who casting director Andy Pryor is pulling out all the stops. Not only is he playing victim, bashing his critics, but he's also making it very clear that he is indeed trying to push socio-political agendas through the casting in the Doctor Who television series. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at the Trent Report. With that out of the way, let's get into this here. This is over at thatparkplace.com. Again, you should have this bookmarked if you don't already. Headline reads Doctor Who casting director Andy Pryor plays victim and lashes out at critics while addressing woke casting. In an interview with Digital Spy, Pryor was asked by the outlet's David Opie, there's been a backlash from so-called fans of Doctor Who in regard to these particular castings, that they're too woke, for want of a better word. Interesting that he's trying to call people who are indeed criticizing this show so-called fans. Really insulting, disgusting behavior from David Opie, clearly showing his disdain for people who are critical of this evil agenda that people like Pryor are pushing. Nevertheless, he goes on and says, "You've engaged a bit with this discussion online, but I wondered if you had anything else to add on this response to castings such as these." As far as what Pryor previously said, you can see this here in a post on X. He wrote, "Just stop by to say that on BBC Doctor Who or any of our work, we don't work hard to cast inclusively for publicity. We do it because we like stories, and stories should speak to all of us and include all of us. And if one person feels a little less alone, then thumbs up." We'll find out that this entire post is a complete and utter lie, as he explains to Digital Spy here. And this is what he said to Digital Spy in response to the question from Obi. Pryor immediately played victim, saying, "It's sad that we're in a time where people villainize minorities. That is not what is happening at all. It's very disingenuous, and he is indeed gaslighting and lying about it. People are villainizing you, race replacing characters such as Sir Isaac Newton. They are villainizing you, promoting a transgender agenda, trying to gaslight people into thinking that men can become women and women can become men, when indeed they cannot. It is not possible. No matter what kind of surgery or alterations you try to do, it just doesn't happen that way. It can't. Nevertheless, he goes on, "This sort of chatter, I'm very good at kind of tuning it out." Clearly not. You've responded on X, and now you are talking about it now. If you were good at tuning out, you would probably said, "No, I'm not going to answer this question," but here you are answering it. Not only did he play victim, he then predictably lashed out by accusing his critics of bigotry. Wow. In just the next sentence, he said, "And I'm also very, very happy to block people on Twitter. I don't really have any time for bigotry at all." So that's really interesting there. The person who is trying to push an evil religious ideology, aka transgender ideology, is calling people who are opposing that bigots. I wonder who are the people that are opposing that. Probably Christians, probably Muslims, probably religious people, and you're the one calling them bigots. That's very interesting indeed, right? Not hypocritical at all. Clearly not lacking any irony either. He then made it clear his original post on X was a lie, especially about the casting not being done for publicity, given this is what he told Digital Spy. He said it then becomes even more important to give people a voice and for people to be represented, especially for young people growing up who might be trans or from any minority. Well, that sure does sound like publicity to me. He added, if they can see themselves on screen, then that can be a huge lifeline for some people that can make them feel part of the world, which indeed they are. Again, sounds like the casting is indeed done for publicity as well as to propagandize the evil transgender ideology to the globe through the vehicle that is Doctor Who. He then continued saying social media is a bit of a dangerous place because I think people get sucked into saying things that I don't know that they truly believe. It just becomes a game for them. Unfortunately, real life isn't a game, and I think it's important to stand up for people who are marginalized. I agree. That is why you should be getting these people the mental health, the spiritual help that they need. Clearly, you are not doing that. You are leading them down a terrible, terrible path that we see is not very good for those individuals. So maybe you should actually start being true and doing what is the just thing to do, which is getting these people help rather than indulging them in their fantasies and their lies. He then initially concluded saying, "Growing up as a gay man, I'm as aware as anybody else of how this stuff makes you feel when you see it, how that negatively can affect you. I don't really think anyone should have to go through that." 100% disagree. We should be telling stories that call a spade and are promoting good and virtuous values rather than whatever Doctor Who is trying to tell us is good and virtuous, which is indeed not. After Opie gushed about his response, Pryor said, "It's an important thing for me. It's an important thing for Russell and the whole Doctor Who team. There are so many ways of telling a story, and the more you can introduce other ideas and other kinds of people, the more exciting it is." That is absolutely not true at all. It is not more exciting the more evil, dangerous, terrible ideas you introduce. That's just utterly ridiculous on its face. And anyone believing that is I don't, delusional, or they know that they are lying, or they're just simply lying to you. Um, and in case you just need a reminder, this transgender ideology is indeed evil. Father Eduardo Thomas Velez explained on Facebook back in November. He said the act of transgenderism is neither natural nor reasonable. For this reason, such an act is intrinsically evil morally. At the same time, transgenderism is not merely a moral evil, but is also a mental and emotional illness. As such, transgender people suffer morally, mentally, and emotionally. And in my opinion, Pryor is adding on to that by pushing not only this agenda onto other people, trying to think that it is normal when it is not, but I think is also doing damage to this actor who goes by the name of Yasmin Finney. Instead of putting this person in the spotlight, trying to say like, "Oh, this is a great thing. What you're doing is great. We're gonna like encouraging this behavior." They should be like, "No, you need to get help. You need to seek help, and we're gonna offer you this help here." And then once you get that help, you realize this stuff that you are buying into is not true at all, then we'll bring you back in. We'll find a role for you and we'll work with you. But this person should not be getting a role in this show, given the fact they are clearly being put into a position where they're going to be mentally and emotionally harmed, as well as morally harmed. But those are kind of my thoughts on this. I'm sure a lot of people have a lot of disagreeing points of view, but let me know what you guys think of this in the comments below.